Good morning, and welcome to Workforce Skills with John Morse. It's another beautiful Monday morning in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're here to talk about being successful in work. How do we do that? It starts with us. It starts with ourselves as a person, who we are, who we want to be, who we want to try to become better as. You know, I teach my guys in the office as they move up to superintendents and estimators. You know, we all wear collared shirts. We don't wear baseball hats to work. We try to make ourselves look professional, presentable. You know, there's a lot of things I've learned over the years that I've tried to improve on and perfect in myself. And it starts with me at the top of the company trying to teach everybody from the top down on who we are and how we represent ourselves. As we walk into a job site, myself and maybe a superintendent or an estimator, I want to be able to walk in and people say, oh, I can't tell who the owner is. You know, we carry ourselves with a certain air that we represent the company professionally. You know, there's a lot of things that we can do in the professional world. And as we're trying to achieve that next level of professionalism and of success within the companies that we work for, how do we do that? You know, let's say, for example, you're invited to a company function. There's drinks involved. There's food involved. How are you going to present yourself? How are you going to represent yourself in front of the people that are going to make the decisions on whether you move up in position or not? You know, it comes down with just, I remember being at a function. It was a company I worked for many, many years ago before I started my own. And I remember this guy, and every time he was talking while he was eating, and food in his mouth and chewing, and just, it was gross, basically. How do you change that? You have to be willing to change yourselves. You know, I'm going to think about how people are going to perceive me, how it's going to look. One thing I taught myself many, many, many years ago, and it was to hold my drink in my left hand at any function. And why is that, you might say? Well, if you're holding a cold drink in your hand and there's moisture on it, your hand's wet. We have a tendency to hold it in our dominant hand, which means I would hold it in my right hand. But what hand do I use to shake somebody's hand? The right hand. So what happens when I switch the glass to the other hand and that hand is still moist and it's wet from the drink, from the condensation on that cup? That's going to give somebody a bad feeling. So it's the little things that are going to make the biggest difference on how we are perceived and how people look at us. So we have to start thinking about everything that we do to make ourselves better. You know, it's how am I going to improve on the impression that I give to other people? I want to come off as the most professional person in a room. So how do I do that? It's the way I dress. It's the way I carry myself. It's the way I speak. It's how I chew my food. It's how I hold my drink. It's everything. I had a guy years ago. Every time he came in my office, he was a superintendent, and we would go over stuff at my desk, and he would lean over. The guy smelled like an ashtray. He smoked nonstop. And it was gross. It was disgusting. So when I look at a situation like that, how is that going to represent him around other people, around my company, and towards other superintendents and other general contractors when he's around them? So it's the little details that are going to make the biggest difference. So how do we change who we are? You know, we've got to want to first. We've got to want to change. And sometimes you might look at your situation or the company you're with, and it's not a good environment to work in. Find another place to go to. You know, it's interesting as we continue these podcasts, and I see some of the comments that are being left online, especially from some of you guys out there that are employees with companies. And, you know, one of the things I think recently was there was a lot of comments made about, you know, the only way I'm moving up in position is sucking up to the boss, or, you know, that doesn't happen at my company. Then leave the damn company. Go somewhere else. If you're not happy where you're at, if you're not being noticed, you're not being recognized, and that company doesn't take care of you, go somewhere else. But it starts with you. You have to take an inner look at yourself. Are you the one that's being professional? Maybe there's a reason you're being overlooked. Some of the comments you guys are making out there, I can understand why you're being overlooked if you openly speak the way you do in these comments. So think about what you're saying. I think everybody has a right to voice their opinion, but there's a right place and a wrong place to do that. If you're trying to grow in the business and move up in position and learn, How are you going to represent yourself? Today, we brought one of our painters out of the field, and we're putting him in the office, and we're going to start training him as an estimator. Now, whether he makes it as an estimator is yet to be determined. Now, this guy understands that if it doesn't work out, he still wants to be a painter for us, still wants to go out in the field, and I respect that. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't make it into this position. If anything, he's there willing to gain the knowledge and better himself. He showed up in a button-down collared shirt when he came in the office. He was prepared for this. He came in clean-shaven, ready to go, and ready to impress. Now, he could have come in his painter's clothes. He could have come in looking all frumpy, but he didn't. He's dressing for the position. That's what we have to look at when we're out there. I don't care what you do out there. I don't care if you're a greeter at a superstore somewhere. Be the best damn greeter you can be, but dress to impress. Speak respectfully to people. Show people that you care about your position and what you're doing. That's what we have to do. So as we proceed out there and I want to move up in position, what am I doing? I'm going to start looking at the company. I'm going to start looking at others that have moved up in position. What have they done? How hard do they work? I'm not looking at the companies. And here's the thing. If you're saying, oh, my company, you just got to suck up and that's the only way you're going to move up, I don't care about those companies. I'm talking about the companies that are goal-oriented, they're family-oriented, they're trying to help promote within. Those are the companies we're looking at. Like I said before, if you're not at one of those companies, find one and go work for them. You'll have better room and better chances for advancement. So think about what's happening within your company when it comes to advancement. Who's being promoted? What are they doing? If somebody's being promoted and you're not, take a look at them and think, what are they doing that I'm not doing? How do I need to improve my work skills? What do I need to improve in my daily activities? Maybe you're not showing up 10 minutes early. I've got a theory. You're only on time if you're 10 minutes early. That's been my rule for years and years and years in my personal life. I make sure I'm there ahead of time before I'm supposed to be. You know, years ago in our trucks and our vehicles, we were able to control the time and set it in the vehicles. Now it's all satellite linked and you can't do that. But where this started with me, you're only on time if you're 10 minutes early, was many, many years ago. I would set the clock in my truck to be 10 minutes early. That way I was always on time. I was always early. I made it there. I didn't have to worry about rushing. And it always gave me a 10-minute window of a cushion. So start setting yourself up for success. What are you going to change today moving forward that's going to make you better for that position? What are you going to learn? Maybe the reason you're not moving up is because you're not showing the initiative that you want to learn. You know, when we look at estimators, we start looking at the guys in the field that what are they doing in the field to try to better themselves to get towards that estimating? There's blueprints on the job site. We have a field set. Are they trying to learn that? Are they trying to understand it? Are they talking to the superintendents trying to figure out what they need to do to better understand the blueprints? That's what we're looking for. So if you're not the guy that's trying to better yourself, if you're not the guy taking the initiative, then that might be why you're not moving up in position. So what can you do to move forward? First of all, start making it known. Hey, you know what? I'd like to be chosen for the next chance at advancement. You know, what do I need to improve? Come talk to the boss. Talk to somebody above you that does the hiring. Ask them, what do I need to do to improve myself? Sometimes that's all it takes. But take that constructive criticism and learn from it. Don't look at it as, oh man, he just ripped me a new one and, you know, I'm never going to make it up there. Well, no. Take a look at what you're doing. Think about what you have to do to get to that next level. If they're telling you, well, we need you to start looking at the blueprints on the job site, then guess what? Start looking at the blueprints on the job site. It's that simple. This isn't rocket science. This is common sense when it comes to getting to that next level. It's just a question of how bad do you want it? Are you willing to do what it takes to get to that next level? You know, nothing in life is easy. You know, you're going to get hit with a curveball every once in a while, but you got to pick yourself up and you got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward. So what are you going to do tomorrow to better yourself? You know, today you're going to listen to this. Tomorrow you're going to put in place different things in action to get yourself to that next level. So what is it going to be? And it doesn't matter what job you work at, whether it's with my business, it's a painting, whether it's a greeter at Walmart, whether it's flipping burgers at McDonald's. What are you going to do to get to that next level? Start learning every position. Start becoming better at what you're doing. It's interesting when I can hire a painter with 5 years experience and a painter with 20 years experience, and sometimes the guy with 5 years experience is 10 times better than the guy with 20 years experience because he cares about what he's doing. He's focused on improving himself on a day-to-day basis. That's what he's trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Every day in life, I want to become more financially stable. I want to become healthier. I want to become more emotionally stable. I want to have a better relationship with my family, with my wife, with the people in the workplace. What am I doing to improve that? If you're just going there expecting something to happen, it's not going to happen. Things are not going to happen unless you try to make it happen for yourself. So what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? It's not what you did yesterday. I don't care what you did. It's today moving forward. That's all that matters. So look at the people around you. How do I become better like them? How do I become a better estimator, a better painter, a better person within the business place? It starts with reading. It starts with watching videos. It starts with watching the people around you. I can look at the worst painter in the world in my business and learn from him. I can learn what not to do. Look at the people that aren't making it. Look at the people that are not successful. What are they doing to hold themselves back? Am I doing the same stuff as them? Maybe I need to change the people I'm hanging around with at work. I see all these little social media TikTok videos and everything. They talk about, besties at work and getting in trouble at work together. And, they make big jokes about stupid little things like that. Start looking at the people you're hanging around at work. Who are the people I want to be most like? I'm looking at that next level where I want to be in business. So now I'm looking at business owners out there. Who out there is making it to the next level? Who out there is promoting themselves as a business owner, as an entrepreneur? How can I be more like that? What do I need to do to change within myself to do that? We sometimes become so self-absorbed in our own reality, our own lives, that we're not willing to look at everything else around us. I knew a guy that owned his own company years ago, and he paid himself the most out of everybody. He took all the profits from the company. He did not invest back into his company. And he micromanaged everybody around him to the point that his business only survived with him there. He did not create a business that could self-maintain itself. That's what we have to do as business owners. We want to create an environment that can pretty much run itself. Hire people, promote within, make the people working for you understand that they are of value to your company. That's what we have to do. So as an employee, how do we become that value to the company? We have to show the initiative. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make something happen. It's interesting because somebody said the other day about, well, I can't buy that. I was looking at the price tag and it's too expensive. When you can buy something without looking at the price tag, that means you can go to work without looking at the clock. I go to work every day without looking at the time clock. There is no time in the day that I know I'm going to start and have to be off. I don't look at the clock. When you can go to work without looking at the clock, then you can go buy something without looking at the price tag. Think about that for a minute, because what you're going to do is you're going to continue to work to better yourself. The money will come as you continue to improve yourself. It always does. And if it doesn't, if you're stuck in a situation, there are bad situations out there in businesses, find a different company. You're going to hear me say that time and time again. If you're not happy where you're at, go somewhere else. If they don't appreciate the employees that are working there, go somewhere else. If you follow everything we discuss in these podcasts and it's still not working out at the company you're at, you might want to go somewhere else. And you employers out there, if you're one of those people that's trying to improve your business, think about the employees that are showing up every day. Think about the ones that are there early every day, that are going the extra mile, that they haven't asked you for a raise. They continue to show up every single day. Those are the guys that you want to promote. Those are the guys that are dedicated. Those are the ones that you have to look at. So these podcasts aren't just for you guys trying to better yourself in a place of employment. These are also for you employers out there with your employees, being a better employer, taking care of them, What are you doing to create a better environment, raise the morale in your company? What are we doing as employers? One of my guys, my project manager, he's also part owner in the company now, was saying, John, we haven't had a company barbecue in a while. I'd like to go ahead and schedule one and plan it. Go for it. He goes, how much can I spend? Whatever you want. Whatever you want to make it a good barbecue, make everybody happy, get them all together. They're going to have a taco truck come out. They're going to have some games going on. We're going to have prizes. There's going to be raffles. He's planning a whole thing. And I gave him free rein to do it. You know why? Because I want the guys happy. I want them to come and enjoy themselves. It's not about us. It's about giving back to the community, giving back to the employees, letting them enjoy themselves. So typically when we do a company barbecue, we shut all our jobs down at about 11 o'clock. We have everybody give them enough time to get back to the office and shop. And we set up out back and we shut down the parking lot and everybody comes and has fun. And they all get paid while they're there and they don't clock out till the end of the day. So we make sure that our guys are taken care of. I'm telling you, it's a small price to pay to raise the morale of your company. It doesn't cost much to do it. Stop looking at your bottom line. Look at your first customer, which is your employee. Take care of them. Make them feel like they have value. Listen to them. When they show up, I shake every single one of their hands. I know every single one of their names. We have a CRM program with all our employees in it, and they clock in and clock out through this. All our bidding's done through this, all our scheduling. And prior to this day when everybody's going to be there, I'm going to go through that and look at every name, every picture of each employee so I know who they are. I get to learn a little bit about each person before they show up. That way, when they come up to me, I can say their name. I know who they are. Show an interest in the people that work for you. That creates the most value in itself, is when you as an employer can recognize your employees, you know them by name, that helps them stand out. Man, this guy really does care about me. He knows my name. I'm not just a number. I'm not just a paycheck. We have to start treating our employees as not just a number. They are a name. They are a value to us, and they want to be successful. One thing I tried to do over the years of building the company up is, how do I create an environment that people want to be in? And I started looking at all the people I used to work for. I started looking at them and these companies and saying, okay, what could I take from this one that worked and didn't work? What can I take from this one that had value or did not have value? And as the years went on, I tried to implement all the things that were of value into my company and change the way we run our business. And it has changed the way our employees see us. Now, there's always going to be that certain revolving door of employees, that come and go. But as we grow bigger, the pool of guys that are still with us gets bigger and bigger, of the ones that want to stick with us. I talked to an employer the other day, and he said, his goal is to retain his employees 3 to 5 years. That's all he wants out of them. And I asked him to explain a little bit more in detail what he meant by that. And what he was trying to explain to me was, he knows that they're going to go on to something bigger and better. He wants to give them the knowledge to gain what they can from there and take it to the next place and grow and continue to grow. I don't understand that completely. And I think if it works for him, if it works for the guys working for him, great. But for me, I want to build a place where guys can retire at, where they can work at for the rest of their lives if that's where they want to be. It's amazing when I look back at how many jobs that I had prior to starting my own company and who I worked for. In my lifetime, I've maybe worked for 10 employers since I started working at the age of 16. So looking at that, at the age of 55 now, looking at the amount of people I've worked for, and then I look at some of the guys that come through my door, they've worked for that many people in the last 2 years or 3 years. What is it that's not working out there? Why is that? Why can they not find the right company? Is it them, or is it the companies they're working for? There's just a lot of bad companies out there. It's interesting as they come on board and we start to realize that some of these guys, man, they're a bad employee. We're just waiting to fill their spot with a better employee at that point, because now we're realizing why they can't keep a job. So what we try to do as a company is we try to sit them down. We try to educate them. We try to explain to them, hey, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what we can change. Let's grow together. It's amazing how many people out there are so darn stubborn in their own head and their own reality that they think everybody else is a problem but them. We have to take an inner look at ourselves. We have to be humble. Can we be humble enough to take constructive criticism when it's given to us? Or do we automatically get on the defense and we push back? I want to be able to be open to all constructive criticism. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to say, you know what, you're right, or I don't have to say you're wrong, but I can take it in and take an inner look. And I can go over that later and figure out what I can take from that conversation to better myself. Not everything's going to pertain to me, and I'm not going to be open to everything. But what could I take from that conversation, that constructive criticism, that I can make myself better? You know, I'm a firm believer, everything that I do, whether it's a class, whether it's a seminar, you know, I've watched podcasts, I've listened to different things, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not for me. But if I take one thing away from that, I'm better for listening to that or being a part of that seminar. You know, so we have to be open to the value of what's being given to us. We don't have to agree with it all, but at least take something from it. You know, take something positive. There's a reason you listen to a podcast. There's a reason you went to a seminar, or there's a reason you go to church. You know, take something from each lesson that you're giving, even if it's just one thing. I'm telling you, you gain everything from that. All the knowledge you can take from that. And if you do that time and time again, the amount of value you're getting that's added to your life, to your situation, is so much better. So in the workplace, I'm looking at how I can improve myself. You know, I've got employees working for me, and, you know, there's guys that they don't agree with the way I run my business, and they'll openly say something. And I'll ask them, well, why do you feel that way? What's created that feeling? When I can prove to you that it's worked so many times before in this situation. And sometimes it's interesting how the conversation can change, and I end up helping them because they disagree with the way I'm doing something. And now all of a sudden they realize why we're doing it a certain way. Maybe it's just because they've been taught that way for so long, they didn't see the options to other ways of doing something. So we have to be open to everything out there. We have to be open to our constructive criticism. You know, how are we going to represent the company? How are we going to interact with the people? So as we continue in this growth and in this journey together, where are we going to make the biggest change? Or maybe it's not a big change, it's just subtle changes that lead into something bigger. So we start with our vocabulary. We start with the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves, the way we interact with the people around us. You're around the people at work more than you are your own family sometimes, your own kids, your own wives, or husbands, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. How are you going to change the way you're going to act? Because the way you act at work is going to reflect on your home life. The way you act at home is going to reflect on your work life. So we have to become better at both at the same time simultaneously. I want to be a better husband. How can being a better husband make me a better employer at work? Well, it's the way I treat my wife. How am I going to treat the people and estimators and superintendents in my work? With respect. How do we treat people with respect when it's not being given back to us in their situations? How do we diffuse a situation? You know, how can I talk somebody off the ledge when they're so upset and so irate that they can't even see through the anger or the situation that they're in? It's how can I be a better communicator? How am I going to communicate better with the people at work as well as at home? And if I can learn to do both at the same time, I'll see the change in both places at the same time. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to learn to communicate better. I'm going to learn to understand other people's feelings, their emotions, how they think, how they talk, how they react to situations. You know, watching people react to a certain situation can tell you how they're going to respond sometimes when you get involved. Watch their reaction on the job site when they have a problem and they make a mess or they spill a bucket of paint. How do they react? Do they just walk away from it, ignore it? Or do they jump right on it and fix it and start cleaning up right away? That can determine how they're going to deal with a personal situation or a work situation when they're confronted with conflict. Are they going to walk away from it? Or are they going to deal with it? I'm going to hit it straight on. I'm going to deal with a situation. I'm going to hit you right between the eyes with whatever's going on, because we need to deal with the situation and confront it. There's no reason to let it wait till later and fester and become something bigger. Let's deal with the situation. That paint that just got spilled, let's clean it up now before it spreads and makes a bigger problem, or dries up and now it's 10 times as hard to clean it up. The same thing with a work situation or something that's happening with somebody, or there's an issue with an estimator or superintendent or somebody in your personal life, a wife or a child. If there's a problem, let's deal with it right away. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out in the open so we can handle it and fix it, and it doesn't fester and grow into something bigger. As we go over each of these things, that's the simple things that's going to help you move up in position. The people above you are going to start saying, man, this guy knows how to handle these situations. He's not afraid of confrontation. He's dealing with it, and he's very calm, and he knows how to talk about it instead of letting the anger come out, or they're talking to someone who's really frustrated, but they're able to diffuse the situation. That's the guy I want as a salesperson working for me, because how do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with rejection when it comes to being a salesperson? As a salesperson, you've got to have thick skin. You've got to deal with rejection on a day-to-day basis. The more we bid, the more opportunities we have, the more we're going to hear the word no. But at the same time, the yeses start to come in. The yeses will be there. Yes, I'd like to go with your company. Yes, these numbers look good. And if they don't, how do you get them to switch over to you? Oh, your numbers are too high. Well, let's go over this bit. Here's why we're high. Did the other guys catch this? I don't know how many times we've bid a job and we get a call. Well, you guys are too high. You're like 35% higher than everybody else. Well, we start talking about the bid. Oh, well, what about the open deck that needs painted? Oh, wait a minute. No one else has that in their bid. Well, there you go. They're missing things. Now you're going to be in a situation on a job site where all of a sudden that price is changing. Do you want that, or do you want to know the cost up front? So sell yourself on the value. Sell yourself on knowledge of what you know. So as salespeople, we want to be better. We want to deal with the rejection. We want to deal with being able to explain why we are at a certain price. Why do things cost a certain amount? It's amazing how the prices of everything just keep going up out there. When it comes to sales, our paint prices have constantly increased. And I've been a part of these other painters' chat rooms, and guys are saying, well, I can't keep soaking up the cost. Well, why are you soaking up the cost? You're a business. Pass it on to the end user. That's why we're in business. If you can't understand that, maybe you should not be in business. So think about what you're selling and the value out there. Explain why you are at where you're at. So if you can start teaching the people that work for you these obstacles, how to overcome them, start educating them. Start having a guest speaker come in and talk to your guys about sales, how to become better salesmen. If one of your guys says, oh, there's a seminar coming up and it costs $1,000 to go on the weekend to go learn how to be a better salesman, invest in your people. Put them in that seminar. Let them learn. I do it for myself as a business owner. I go to seminars. I'm trying to learn how to be a better business owner, a better estimator or salesperson. I can still learn from all that. So how can you out there learn? How can we better our employees? How can we better our situation to where our employees are becoming stronger? I want to create value. Well, you might say, well, I don't want to lose my employees. If they become too good, they're going to go somewhere else. That is the thing we have to look at. But at the same time, we're constantly building up the rest of our employees. So how can we build our people up better? Let them move on if that's the case, and you've created so much value in what you're doing. Because what's that going to do down the road? That means you're going to have more employees wanting to work for you. You're going to have better candidates coming to your shop, your doors, your office, looking to come work for you because they start hearing about what a good environment it is and how good the employees are being treated. That's what I want to hear. I know there's businesses out there, they offer great health care, great benefits. Employees are happy. The pay is very well at these places. They're able to retain people for many, many years because of this. We have to start thinking like that. You know, I believe in free market and capitalism and starting small businesses, but how do we become those bigger businesses? You know, people hate the bigger corporate businesses, but they all start out small somewhere. And the reason they grew so big is because of the way they treated their employees, what they did growing up. So as these businesses grow, as our businesses grow, as we take care of our employees, there's a reason my business is growing so fast, because I take care of my employees, because I take care of the people that are working for me. I want to make sure that at Christmas, every one of my employees' kids have Christmas presents. So I'm going to guarantee they have a paycheck. They get their Christmas or end of the year bonus. It's going to be there for them. I keep track of every year what they get, so the next year they get a little bit more. That's a continuation. That's what's going to retain them. But at the same time, be prepared to lose your employees because they're so good they go somewhere else, that somebody else wants them. They might be offered more money. But that happens a lot in my company too, and these guys still stick with me. You'll lose a couple here and there. You have to be prepared for that. But I guarantee you, as time goes on, it's amazing how many people come in our door. Yeah, I heard you guys were hiring, and I heard you promote within, and I want to be a part of that. That's how we grow. That's how we gain more employees, and we continue to do better. So what are you going to do moving forward to build your employees up as an employer? Start thinking about the employees. Start thinking about, how do we build them up? You know, how do I get I'm only as good as my worst employee. You know, as painters on a crew, we used to say we're only as good as our worst painter. Well, how do we get them to our level? We train them, we teach them. It's the same in any business. We have to train, we have to teach. Don't just go out there and look for people that are going to come on with the experience already at hand. You're going to hire guys with experience. You're going to hire guys without experience. I'm telling you right now, I would rather hire a guy with zero experience and train him from the ground up. That is going to be your best option when it comes to employees. At least it has been for me. It's proven time and time again to be the most successful. Bringing somebody that had nothing up to where they can have everything. That's the goal. That's where I started my business. I came from nothing. I started it by myself out of my garage and built it into what it is today. That's what it's taken. So if I can teach everybody under me to do the exact same thing that I did, to build it up from nothing, to start from nothing, to build up and grow from it, the sky's the limit at that point. How do we continue to grow? How do we continue to teach someone to flourish within the business? I love watching my people grow. I love rewarding them and complimenting them and telling them that they did such a good job. That's what we want to do. That's what they want to hear. I'm telling you what, an attaboy and a pat on the back goes a long way. Telling someone that you're proud of them and they did a great job. You know, the guy that's in our estimating department today that came out of the field sent me a message yesterday saying, thank you for everything you've given me, and I'm honored to be a part of this with you and to have this opportunity. And I sent back to him, no, the honor's all mine. The honor for me is watching him grow within my company and what he's capable of and what he can do for the future. It's not just what he can do for himself. It's what he can do for the company. It's what he can do for others around him, you know, as he learns and gains his knowledge. It's being able to watch him on the job site, train other painters to come up to his level. That's what amazes me as we watch people grow. We continually want to grow. So how are we going to represent ourselves? How are we going to, you know, I talked about the guy at being at the company function and chewing with his mouth open and how we hold our drinks in the left hand versus right hand. It's the simple things that will make the difference. So as a company, I'm looking at the guys, who's showing the initiative, who out there is representing the company the right way. We had a painter a while back and, you know, we got a couple calls on him in a company truck. You know, how is he representing us out there? All my guys wear company shirts. How are they representing themselves? You know, I don't want the guy that's out there and every time I hear something, it's bad. You know, I'd rather hear nothing about a guy than something that's bad. You know, just because you're not the guy that's out there and your name's not always being brought up, that you're doing the best out there, it doesn't mean you're not being noticed. We notice the guys that their name never gets brought up because that means they're doing the right thing all the time. You know, on my emails that I sent out, there's a message on it that said, it's not about doing it right when somebody's watching. It's about doing it right when nobody's watching. So how are we going to do the right thing all the time? So as you grow out there, as you work on building yourself up and growing within your company, think about doing it right all the time. It's not about just when somebody's watching. It's when nobody's watching. That's going to be the most important. When nobody's watching you, how are you performing? Are you still doing it the same as if you had an audience? That's what we look for in employees. You know, when I give a task and I say, okay, I need you to get this from here to here done in the next 4 hours, what are you doing to get that task done? I know it can be done because I've done it myself. I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything more than what I'm capable of. So when we're gone and nobody's watching, how are you performing? Think about that. You know, it's who am I when no one's watching? How am I performing? Am I going to perform at 100% or am I going to drop back about 75% and take it easy? No, I'm going to push even harder. When no one's watching, I want to even go farther and more and higher and above and beyond than what I'm capable of or what they think I'm capable of. That's the goal. Let's impress them. Let's show them we can do more than what we were told to do. Oh, but John, I'm not getting paid to do that. They don't pay me enough. Then you are not the right employee for us. You are not ever going to improve out there. The guys out there saying, oh, I'm only doing what I'm paid for. I don't get paid to do that. There's a reason you're stuck where you're at. Start changing that mindset. Start changing that attitude, and you will start to see changes in your workplace. You will start to get noticed, but it starts with you. You have to do something different than what you've been doing. If you're stuck in a situation, if you're stuck in a place and nothing is changing, nothing is working, then you have to be the change. You have to be the one to change your situation in the workplace or in life in general. I'm tired of people that, woe is me. I'm telling you what, if you're a complainer, if you're negative all the time, I am not going to have you around me. Start thinking about what you can do differently. Start looking at the positive stuff. What am I going to do different today to better myself? How can I change who I am? How can I change my situation in the workplace? It's not who's going to change it for you. You have to do it for yourself. So what are you going to do to change your environment? If you're the guy complaining, if you're the guy that's negative out there, start changing that attitude. Stop being negative. Stop complaining. Start looking for the positive stuff. And I know some of you guys out there can't do that because you just continually to be negative. You have to change your mindset. It starts right here, right now, while you're listening to this, saying, I'm going to make a change. Today, moving forward, I don't care what you did yesterday. I don't care what you did this morning. I don't care what you had for breakfast this morning. What are we doing next? What are we moving forward to change ourselves for the better? I have to continually improve. So what are you going to do? How are you going to make that change? It starts by being positive. It starts with having a good attitude. It starts with helping the people around you become better. You know, I don't need the guy that, it's about me. I'm the best painter. I'm the best this. I want the guy that is the best team member, the guy that's going to train the other guys to get to his level. That's what we're looking for. We're only as best as our weakest man. So how do we build them all up to our level? That's what you have to start doing. So you guys as employers out there looking at your team members out there, start looking at the guys that are training others, helping others. You might have a 4 or 5 man team and one guy's outshining everybody and he doesn't care about anybody else. He's doing his own thing. That's not a good team member. I tell you what, I would rather have someone that's mediocre, that's a team player and a team member that's going to help build everybody up than that one guy that's going to try and outshine everybody. Because all he's going to do is drag them down. They don't want to work with him. It's not a good environment to be in. It's no different than someone that's negative and not being positive all the time. It's going to drag everybody down. That's what we don't want to do. We want to build each other up. So start thinking about how you can change your environment. You can start changing the situation around you. Only you can change it. Starts with, even on a construction site, with our job area that we're working in. We have a workstation. We put everything together. We keep it clean. There's nothing worse than I walk on a job and it's, let's say, a 10,000 square foot place that we're working in, and I got paint in 10 different directions. I got ladders in 10 different directions, equipment everywhere, versus having a workstation. And at the end of the day, I'm there and I'm watching who's cleaning up and who's putting it there. Out of a 4-man crew, I got 3 guys putting everything back, and the other guys just wander around not doing anything. He's not helping. He's just waiting to clock out and go home. That's not a good team member. He's not part of a team. He's not helping set themselves up for success for the next day. So I'm not just going to ignore it. I'm going to go over and talk to him and try to mentor him and guide him and explain why we do this, why we're setting up a workstation for the next day, why we're doing it today and not first thing in the morning. There's a reason for how we do things. I want him to become better. And if I continually try to teach him and he continually refuses and doesn't want to learn, then I don't need him a part of the team, because he's proven to us that he is not a team member. That's not what we're looking for. I want team members. I want people that are going to help build each other up as a collective, as a community. That's the goal. That's what we're looking for within any business. That's what we're looking for in a workplace or in your own personal life. As a family, we're a collective unit. We work together as a family to build something, build a life together. It's not a one man does everything or one person does everything. It's a family group that makes things happen. We build a life together. Same thing in the business. We're building a life together in the workplace with our employees, with the people around us. So what are you going to do tomorrow to better yourself? How are we going to start to be a little humble, take an inner look at ourselves and say, you know what? I think I can work on myself a little bit more. And if you're the person out there saying, I'm good where I'm at, I don't need to work on myself, I'm at the top of my game, then you're probably the guy that needs the most work. Take an inner look at yourself. We can all use a little bit of humility and better ourselves somewhere within work, within our personal life. So what are we going to do to change that moving forward? I want to know that I'm going to be at the top of my game. So I'm going to better myself. I'm going to train myself. I'm going to teach myself. And I'm going to surround myself with the people that are going to help get there. Not the negativity, not the people that aren't being positive out there. So as you go through your work day, as you're listening to this or you're watching us, think about what you're going to do to better yourself for tomorrow. What can I change? Maybe it is reading a book. Maybe it is watching a video on how to become a better employer, better at the skill you're doing. You know, it's amazing how many painters out there could watch a video, and just one 5-minute video could possibly make them better the next day just by learning something different. You might say, well, I watched that 5-minute video. I know how to do that. They do it a little bit different, but I do it this way. Why not try their way? How do you know it doesn't work if you haven't tried it? Try something new. So the one thing I want to leave with you guys today, as you get out there in the workplace, I want you to try something new. I want you to try to better yourself. Try to be humble and try to make yourself of value to the company you're working for. Let them see the value that you really are by stepping up your game. Thanks, guys, for being with us again on Workforce Skills with John Morse. I really appreciate you watching in and tuning in. And please leave us a comment. Let us know if there's anything you need help with. We're here to help everybody. So have a good day. Stay hungry.